If you woke up on January 22nd and glanced at Ubisoft's stock, you probably did a double take. In a matter of hours, more than 30% of the company's value was wiped out. And that wasn't because of a leak, a delay rumor, or some random market panic. This was Ubisoft pulling the emergency brake on itself. A full reset, a restructuring so aggressive that investors flinched instantly. And the real question isn't just what happened to Ubisoft, it's what this means for the games we care about, and especially what it means for the division. Here's the reality. Ubisoft announced a sweeping organizational and operational overhaul, pitching it as a move toward becoming more gamer-centric. On paper, that sounds like a win. In practice, the market saw something very different. Shares opened at just over €5 and sank fast, settling around $4.44 by the end of the drop. Zoom out a bit, and it's even worse. Over the last 6 months, Ubisoft's value has already been cut in half. This wasn't a stumble. This was confirmation that confidence had been eroding for a long time. So what exactly did Ubisoft do to trigger this kind of reaction? They blew up their old centralized structure and replaced it with 5 decentralized creative houses, each built around specific genres. Instead of everything funneling through one massive corporate pipeline, these creative houses are supposed to act more independently, more focused, and more in tune with players. Alongside that, Ubisoft doubled down hard on 2 pillars: open-world adventures and games as a service. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's where Ubisoft has made its money, and where it's also burned a lot of goodwill. They're not stopping there either. Ubisoft is pushing accelerated investment into player-facing generative AI, which opens the door to new systems, new content pipelines, and potentially faster production. Or less human-driven creativity, depending on how you look at it. And clearly, investors are nervous about that gamble. But here's where things start to sting. This reset came with a cost: layoffs across the organization, entire studios shut down, and projects people had been waiting on for years didn't survive the cut. The Prince of Persia remake is officially dead. The Black Flag remake has been pushed back, with internal estimates pointing to delays as long as a year. Somehow, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still alive, which almost feels unbelievable at this point. But the message is clear: nothing is sacred anymore. Now let's talk about what you're probably really here for. What does this mean for the division? On the surface, Ubisoft is saying all the right things. Massive Entertainment has already gone on record saying everything is on track. The Division resurgence is moving forward. And most importantly, the Division 3 is still in development, with no red flags raised publicly. That's the official line, and right now, there's no evidence to contradict it. But context matters. The Division franchise fits perfectly into Ubisoft's new strategy. It's an open-world experience. It thrives as a live service. It has long-term monetization baked into its DNA. If Ubisoft is narrowing its focus, the Division isn't on the chopping block. If anything, it's one of the safer bets in their entire portfolio. At the same time, this restructuring changes the environment around the Division 3 in ways that can't be ignored. Decentralized creative houses mean more autonomy, but also more pressure. Each team now has to justify its existence and performance more clearly. Missed expectations don't get buried in a giant corporate machine anymore. And with Ubisoft's stock already battered, tolerance for failure is likely lower than it's ever been. So ask yourself this: does this push Massive to play it safer with the Division 3, sticking closely to proven systems? Or does the new structure actually give them the freedom to innovate without corporate bottlenecks slowing everything down? Does generative AI become a tool that enhances world building and systems, or a cost-cutting shortcut that players immediately feel? And most importantly, can Ubisoft afford another live service disappointment when investors are already watching every move? This is the tightrope Ubisoft is walking right now. They're betting that a leaner, more focused company will eventually rebuild trust with both players and shareholders. But the market's reaction shows that belief isn't there yet. Not even close. Do you think this restructuring ultimately helps the Division franchise, or puts even more pressure on the Division 3 to be a make-or-break release? Or does this shake your faith in the publisher as a whole? If you enjoyed this breakdown, and want more deep dives into what's really happening behind the scenes at Ubisoft and across the Division universe, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. This story is far from over, and we'll be covering every move.